Hi guys, Sandra here of the blog thesensiblemom.com, and today is day plus 18. So I'm going to update on today so far and also on day plus 16 and day plus 17 for David. I'll start with his counts. On day plus 16, his white count dropped a little bit to 2.57 from 2.86 on day 6 plus 16, but it went right back up. Actually, it went up nicely to 3.03 yesterday on day plus 17. And then today's counts we don't have yet because they're drawing labs later on in the morning, right before David has to take his cyclosporine for the day because they want to check his cyclosporine level, and so they're not drawing the labs really early like they were before. So I should know later on in the day where his counts are at. But for day plus 17, his white count was 3.03, and that's the highest it's been so far, so that's great news. Day plus 16, his hemoglobin dropped down from 11.2 to 11.1. That's just a tiny drop, and it had gotten a nice bump from Christmas Day blood transfusion, and today it's at 11.4. So, or sorry, day plus 17 it was at 11.4. Today we don't know where it's at yet, but day plus 17 it went up to 11.4, which is great. David's platelets on day plus 16 were 59. On day plus 17 they went up to 72. So that is great, and then we'll see where they're at today. But they've been trending upward for a while now, so that's wonderful. His ANC on day plus 16 dropped a little bit to 1,490, but it went up really nicely to 1,970 on day plus 16, and today we don't know what it is yet, of course. So, but everything's looking really good. Again, I'm ecstatic that David doesn't have to get neupogen and that his counts are going up on their own, because neupogen comes with its own side effects, and David has certainly been prone to side effects, and so I'm just ecstatic that he doesn't have to get that and experience any other unwanted side effects. So things are going well with his counts. Overall, on day plus 16, I talked to the doctors and asked a couple questions. And I wanted to know, how many times a week David will be seen in the clinic once he's discharged, and it'll probably be 3 times a week. He'll probably be coming to the hospital 3 times a week to be seen in the clinic, where they'll draw labs and see where things are at and give him any infusions, and just generally we'll meet with the doctors 3 times a week. So David wanted to know if his PICC line would be removed before he was discharged, and so I asked about that, and the doctors let me know that if they remove his PICC line before he's discharged, then they'll have to access his port every single time. So 3 days a week, if we went to the clinic 3 days a week, and we'll be going 3 days a week, they would have to access his port 3 times a week, every time we went to the clinic, and that is not okay, because David is really, he really just hates when anybody messes with that area or it has to be accessed, and it's just a huge issue. So we're going to leave the PICC line in, and because that's a lot easier for him to deal with, and the dressing changes and everything, it's not a big issue for him. So we're just going to leave the PICC line in for now and only access the port, I think, if he has an infection or a fever of some sort, then they'll have to access the port, but otherwise we can just leave it alone, which is good. Overall, he's doing really well. We did get the results back from the chimerism test, it's called, to see how much of what's going on in David's body, how much of that is David and how much of that is a donor, and it comes out to an average of 91% are the donor cells. So that's fantastic, and I was really, really happy to hear that, because of course we want the donor's marrow, the donor stem cells and everything to be working in his body, and so I'm just ecstatic at those results, and they'll be checking that again at day plus 30, day plus 60, and a day plus 100, and then at different times, possibly in between there, if David were to get sick or his counts were to drop all of a sudden, then they would take a look again and see what's going on with his cells and how much of a percentage is David and how much of a percentage is the donor. So good results. So there. David is very energetic. He is having a great time playing in the halls. Mostly it's in the halls and hanging out with the nurses, and he's playing in the playroom. He's got lots of energy. He does tend to play a lot and then just crash. So I talked to the doctor about that today, and she said that's perfectly normal. And she sees that, this is totally normal. The kids just get tired a lot easier, and she was telling me how she doesn't, they don't let kids go back to school for months after a bone marrow transplant because, and that's one of the reasons they get really tired, and so this is totally normal. I'm happy for all the energy that he does have, and then when he crashes, just try to let him be, and that's pretty much that. Cyclosporine was increased from 0.60 milligrams to 0.80 milligrams, and they're checking that level daily. They want to just make sure that he's at a good level, good therapeutic level, that he's got a good therapeutic level going on in his body so that he can be discharged tomorrow on Monday on day plus 19. So everything is looking like that's going to happen. And unless he gets a fever or something like that, but it doesn't seem like, he hasn't had any fevers up until this point. He's not sick. He's doing really well, and so we are anticipating discharge on Monday. So really excited about that. He's still having some issues with leg pain. It's mostly in the calf area. So this time it's the opposite leg than it was before. And so I just let the nurse know, and they're just, he'll just work with physical therapy, and I think that'll get better on its own as time progresses. So it's not a big concern. On day plus 17, again, David spent a lot of time outside of the room. We were doing races, and he was racing with the nurses, and he made a new friend, and the only really unpleasant thing that happened yesterday was after he came back from being out of the room, he came back inside the room, took a bath, ate and everything, and then he just crashed somewhere between 7 and 7:30 p.m. and he hadn't taken his night meds, and actually there wasn't even time for him to take his night meds until at least around 9 o'clock. So he had to be woken up to take his meds, and that was really unpleasant, and I totally feel for him. I completely understand, and it was a really bad situation, and it obviously didn't go well, but once it was over, the whole episode was over, and he was able to just lay back down and calm down, and we weren't able to get the meds in him at that time, so they decided just to let him be, just to let him lay back down, and let the doctors know and everything like that. After he laid back down, he didn't go back to sleep. He just kind of just laid there, and then he just woke up, and he took his meds, and he went out and we got some snacks, and he just stayed awake for a few more hours. So things were good after that whole episode. But I don't know what to do, but hopefully that doesn't happen again today. Hopefully we'll just start to get into a good routine with mornings and with bedtime and everything like that, so that doesn't happen again. But overall, he's feeling really good. His cyclosporine level was good yesterday. The only thing that might happen today is that he might get an IVIG infusion, and that's a 4 to 6 hour infusion, and I'll know that for sure once they get the results back, once they get something called this IgG results back. So he may have to get an infusion of that. But other than that, it's just meds today and playing in the playroom and playing in the hallway and everything, and hopefully discharge tomorrow. So we're really looking forward to that, and I will update again as soon as I can. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.